Admiral Vexstar stared at the glowing screen in his command center. The blue and green planet looked pretty from space, but the data made him shake his head. This world was a death trap. The gravity was 3 times stronger than his home planet. The star burned too bright, sending dangerous rays through space. Storms bigger than entire moons spun across the surface. Earthquakes split the ground. Volcanoes shot fire into the sky. "Sir, we found intelligent life on this planet," said Commander Yethmos, his second in command. He held a datapad with strange symbols and numbers. They sent this message into space. It has math and star maps. Vexstar looked at the message. For a few seconds, the math was simple, but correct. The star maps showed they knew where they lived in the galaxy. These creatures had brains, but that did not matter. Nothing could survive long on such a terrible world. "Another Deathworld species," Vexstar said with a laugh. "Look at this place. The gravity would crush most of our people. The radiation would cook them. The weather would tear our ships apart. How can anything smart live there?" The other officers around the table nodded. They had seen Deathworlds before. Sometimes life grew on these bad planets, but it never lasted long. The creatures always died out or killed each other before they could travel to other worlds. "What should we do, sir?" asked Yethmos. "Put it in the files as Class D hazard world. Mark the species as primitive and not dangerous. We have bigger things to worry about." Vexstar turned away from the screen. The Zephrian Empire controlled 12 star systems. They had better things to do than watch some doomed creatures on a poisoned planet on the other side of space. Commander Lisa Parker sat in her chair at Deep Space Station Alpha. The station floated in the dark between Neptune and Pluto, watching for signals from other worlds. Lisa had been doing this job for 5 years, and most days were quiet. Today was different. "Ma'am, I'm getting some weird readings," said Lieutenant Jake Morrison from his computer station. He was young and still got excited about small things. "Energy patterns at the edge of our solar system. They don't match anything we've seen before." Lisa walked over to look at his screen. Strange lines moved across the display, showing power levels that went up and down in patterns. She had seen signals from human ships, old satellites, and space rocks before. This was something new. "How long have you been tracking this?" she asked. "About 2 hours. The signal is moving. It's not coming from one place. I think there might be ships out there." Lisa felt cold fear in her stomach. Ships that were not human meant aliens. Earth was not ready for that kind of meeting. The governments back home were too busy fighting about money and borders to think about visitors from space. "Send a report to Earth Command," she said. "Mark it as priority 1. "Yes, ma'am." Lisa knew her report would sit on someone's desk for weeks. The people in charge did not believe aliens existed. They thought the universe was empty except for humans. She hoped they were right, but the signals on Jake's screen said something different. 3 months passed. The reports from Deep Space Station Alpha got buried under piles of paperwork at Earth Command. Nobody wanted to deal with scary possibilities when they had real problems at home. Climate change was making storms worse every year. Countries still fought wars over oil and water. Politicians argued about everything and agreed on nothing. Admiral Vexstar looked at the reports from his scout ships with growing anger. The first raids on the outer edge of human space had been easy. His ships found small mining stations and research bases with only a few dozen people. The humans had simple weapons and old technology. They should have surrendered right away, but they did not surrender. They did not even act scared. "Bring me the prisoners from the Titan attack," Vexstar ordered. 2 guards brought in a human male and female. The male was tall, with short brown hair and strong arms. The female was smaller, but had clever eyes that missed nothing. Both of them looked around the command center like they were studying it. "I am Admiral Vexstar of the Zephrian Empire," he said in his most threatening voice. "Your people have entered our space. You will tell us about your weapons and defenses." The male human stepped forward. His name was Jake Morrison, the same young man who had worked with Lisa Parker months earlier. Now he was an engineer on the Titan mining station. "I'm Jake Morrison. This is Amy Sullivan, our medic. We don't know anything about weapons or defenses. We're just miners and scientists." Vexstar studied the humans. They were strange-looking with their pale skin and small eyes. Their bodies looked weak compared to Zephrian soldiers, but something about them made him uncomfortable. They stood too straight. They did not shake with fear. They watched everything with sharp attention. "Your planet has strong gravity, Vextar?" said. "How do you move so easily?" Jake shrugged. "Earth gravity is normal for us. This feels light." He jumped a little to show how easy it was to move in the Zephrian ship's gravity. Amy Sullivan spoke for the first time. "Your people seem to have trouble breathing our air. Are you from a Loxygen world?" The question surprised Vextar. Prisoners were supposed to answer questions, not ask them. "That information is not your concern." "I'm a medic," Amy said calmly. "I notice things about health and biology. Your guards keep adjusting their breathing masks. Your heart rate is faster than it should be. Gravity is hard on your body, isn't it?" Vextar felt more uncomfortable. These humans were supposed to be primitive, but they observed and analyzed like trained scientists. The female was reading his biology just by looking at him. That was not normal prisoner behavior. "Take them back to their cell," he ordered the guards, as the humans were led away. Vextar heard Jake Morrison talking quietly to Amy Sullivan. "Did you see how their weapons work? Those power cells look simple, and their ship systems seem designed for much lighter gravity." "The guards look tired," Amy replied. "I don't think they're used to working in these conditions." The door closed, cutting off their conversation. Vextar stood alone in his command center, thinking. The humans were not acting like any conquered species he had seen before. They were not begging for mercy or crying about their fate. They were studying their captors and learning about Zephrian weaknesses, but that was impossible. The data files said humans were primitive and harmless. They lived on a death trap planet that should have killed them long ago. How could such creatures be dangerous to the mighty Zephrian Empire? Vextar looked at the tactical display showing human space. 3 more mining stations and research bases waited to be conquered. Soon the humans would learn what happened when primitive species met superior galactic civilization, he was sure. The next attacks would go just as easily as the first one. He had no idea how wrong he was. The humans were about to show the galaxy what happened when you attacked a species that had survived 4 billion years of evolution on one of the most dangerous planets in the universe. The Zephrians thought they had found easy prey. They had actually awakened something that had been sleeping in the dark between the stars, something the galaxy had never seen before. They had disturbed the apex predators of Earth, and those predators were about to hunt back. Captain Ryan Hughes stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, watching Saturn grow larger on the main screen. The distress call from Titan had been short and scary. It's under attack by unknown ships. Taking heavy fire, need immediate help. Then, nothing but silence. "Sir, we're picking up energy signatures around Titan," said Lieutenant Kelly Davis from her station. 3 ships, design unknown. They're much bigger than anything we have. Ryan felt his jaw tighten. For months, the outer colonies had reported strange sightings, ships that did not belong to any Earth nation. Signals that made no sense. Now it looked like first contact was happening whether humanity was ready or not. "All stop. Try to contact them," Ryan ordered. The reply came fast. A voice speaking perfect English, but with a strange accent that sounded like singing. "Human vessel, this is Commander Kethrak of the Zephrian Empire. You will surrender immediately. Your species now belongs to us." Ryan looked around at his crew. They were military, trained for combat, but they had never imagined fighting aliens. Still, every face on the bridge showed determination instead of fear. That was good. He would need that. "Commander Kethrak, this is Captain Hughes of the Earth ship Endeavour. We don't belong to anyone. We want our people back from Titan." A laugh came through the speakers. It sounded like wind chimes, mixed with the cry of a bird. "Your people are safe, Captain. They're learning about proper civilization. You should be grateful. We will move your entire species to better worlds where you can live without the constant danger of your death planet." "That's kind of you," Ryan said carefully. "But we like our death planet. How about we meet face to face and talk about this?" There was a long pause. Then Kethrak spoke again. "Very well, you may come aboard our ship with 2 officers. no weapons. Any tricks in your people on Titan will die. Ryan chose Lieutenant Davis and Sergeant Mike Collins, a Marine who looked calm under pressure. They took a shuttle to the alien ship, which was huge and white with smooth curves. It looked like it was made from carved bone. The docking bay was 3 times larger than anything on human ships. The gravity felt light, maybe half of Earth normal. The air was thick and humid with a sweet smell like flowers. Ryan noticed that. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor, but the aliens moved almost silently. Commander Kethrak was waiting for them. He stood 7 feet tall with pale blue skin and 4 arms. His face was long and thin with large black eyes. He wore flowing robes that seemed too fancy for a military officer. 2 shorter aliens stood beside him, both carrying weapons that glowed with soft light. "Welcome aboard the Stellar Wind," Kethrak said, with that strange singing voice. "Are the first humans I have met face to face. You look exactly as our scientists predicted." Ryan studied the alien commander. Kethrak was breathing harder than he should be. Sweat showed on his blue skin. The 2 guards kept shifting their weight from foot to foot like they were uncomfortable. "Your ship is impressive," Ryan said. "How long have your people been traveling?" "Between stars?" "Over 50,000 Earth years," Kethrak replied with pride. "We have brought peace and order to 12 star systems. Now we will do the same for humanity." Lieutenant Davis spoke up. "What does that mean exactly? Peace and order?" "Your species will be relocated to appropriate worlds, low-gravity planets. With gentle weather and filtered sunlight, you will be given useful work in our empire. In return, we will protect you from the dangers of your primitive technology and violent nature." Sergeant Collins raised an eyebrow. "Violent nature?" Kethrak gestured with all 4 arms. "Your planet's files show constant warfare. You fight each other over resources and territory. This is natural for Deathworld species, but it must be controlled. Under Zephrian guidance, you will learn better ways." Ryan felt anger building in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "And if we refuse your generous offer, then you will be forced to accept it," Kethrak said simply. "We have studied your captured people. Humans are physically weak and short-lived. Your technology is crude. Your ships are small and slow. You cannot resist the might of our empire." Ryan looked around the room they were standing in. It was beautiful, with flowing designs on the walls and soft music playing from hidden speakers. But he noticed other things too. The walls looked thin, like they were made for decoration instead of protection. The guards' weapons seemed more like art than tools of war. Everything on this ship was built for beauty and comfort, not for fighting. "I see my people?" Ryan asked. "Of course. We want you to see how well we treat our subjects." They walked through long hallways filled with plants and small fountains. Crew members they passed all looked tired. Many wore breathing masks or moved slowly like the gravity was too heavy for them. Ryan realized the ship's environment was set to Earth normal conditions to keep the human prisoners healthy. But it was hard on the aliens. The humans from Titan were being held in a large room with soft chairs and beds. They looked unharmed but alert. Jake Morrison stood up when he saw Ryan. "Captain Hughes, are you here to get us out?" "That's the plan," Ryan said. He looked around at the other prisoners. 47 people, including miners, scientists, and engineers. All of them looked ready to fight if given the chance. Amy Sullivan, the medic, moved closer. "Captain, there are some things you should know about our hosts." "Later," Ryan said quietly. He turned to Kethrak. "My people look healthy. Thank you for treating them well." "We are not barbarians," Kethrak said, "though I admit we have learned disturbing things about your species. Your people ask strange questions about weapons and ship design. They show no fear of death. One of your females actually asked to examine our biology for weaknesses. Such thinking is not normal." Ryan almost smiled. Humans being curious and tough was not normal by alien standards. That was good to know. They returned to the command center where Kethrak showed off his ship's weapons and shields. The displays were impressive, but Ryan noticed the crew operating them moved carefully and slowly. Their equipment looked advanced but delicate, like it would break if handled roughly. "Your people will surrender Earth's governments within 1 standard day," Kethrak announced. If not, we will begin destroying your cities until you comply. This is how all primitive species are brought into the Empire. I need to talk to my government, Ryan said. They'll want to hear your terms directly, of course. We are reasonable beings. As Ryan and his officers were escorted back to their shuttle, Lieutenant Davis whispered, "Did you see how they move in our gravity? Like they're carrying heavy weights? Their air systems are working overtime too," added Sergeant Collins. "This environment is stressing their bodies." Ryan nodded. The aliens were impressive with their big ships and advanced technology, but they had weaknesses. They were not built for the harsh conditions that humans called normal. They moved like people who had never had to fight for survival. Back on the Endeavor, Ryan called Earth Command with a full report. The response came back fast and clear. President Sarah Mitchell herself got on the line. "Captain Hughes, this is the President. We've been monitoring your transmission. The answer is no. We don't surrender to anyone, and we don't abandon Earth. Bring our people home." "Yes, ma'am," Ryan replied. "What are my orders if the aliens attack?" "Defend yourself and American citizens by any means necessary." "And Captain, show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth." Ryan looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. They were about to fight the first war between humans and aliens. But after seeing the Zephrians up close, Ryan thought humanity might have more advantages than anyone expected. The aliens thought they were dealing with weak primitives from a death world. Were about to learn that death worlds produced very dangerous creatures. General Patricia Wells stood in the war room deep under the Pentagon, staring at the big screen that showed human space. 3 more red dots had appeared overnight. 3 more colonies had gone silent. The aliens were not waiting for Earth's surrender. They were taking human territory piece by piece. "How many people?" she asked the young officer at the computer. 237 confirmed missing, ma'am. The Ceres mining station, Europa research base, and the ice harvesting platform at Enceladus. All captured without a fight. Patricia felt anger burn in her chest. She had fought in 3 wars on Earth, but this was different. These were not enemy soldiers taking territory. These were aliens stealing human beings like they were collecting pets. President Mitchell walked into the room with the leaders of 6 other nations following behind her. The Chinese premier, the Russian president, the European Union commissioner, and others. For the first time in decades, every major power on Earth agreed on something. They would not let aliens conquer humanity. "General Wells," President Mitchell said, "what are our options?" Patricia pointed to the star map. "The aliens are moving slowly and carefully. They take one target at a time, probably to avoid losses. They seem to think we can't fight back. Can we?" asked the Russian president. "Yes, sir. But we need to change how we think about war. These aliens have better ships and weapons, but they have weaknesses too." Captain Hughes reported they struggle in Earth's normal conditions. Their technology looks fragile. Most importantly, they don't seem to understand real combat. The Chinese premier leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "Their whole approach is wrong," Patricia explained. "They attack soft targets and expect surrender. They treat war like a business negotiation. That tells me they've never fought anyone who actually wanted to kill them." President Mitchell nodded. "What do you need?" "I need our best soldiers. People who know how to fight dirty and think fast. This won't be like any war we've fought before." 2 hours later, Colonel Marcus Stone got the call that changed everything. He was on leave at his cabin in Montana, trying to forget about 20 years of special operations in places most people never heard about. The phone rang once. "Stone here, Marcus. This is Patricia Wells. How would you like to fight aliens?" Marcus sat up in his chair. "Is this some kind of joke? Dead serious? We need you to put together a team. The best fighters from every branch, every nation. People who can adapt fast and improvise. We're going to rescue our people and show these aliens what human soldiers can do." Marcus looked out his window at the mountains. He had been ready to retire, but this was different. This was about the survival of his species. "When do we start?" "Yesterday. Get to Colorado Springs. Everything you need will be waiting." 3 days later, Marcus stood in a hangar, looking at 12 of the deadliest people Earth had ever produced. Marine snipers, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, British SAS, Russian Spetsnaz, Chinese Special Forces, men and women who had spent their lives learning how to kill efficiently and survive impossible situations. "Listen up," Marcus said. "Everything we know about warfare just changed. We're fighting aliens who think they're superior to us. They've captured almost 300 of our people. We're going to get them back and teach these invaders why they should have left Earth alone." Sergeant Lisa Chang, a sniper from Taiwan, raised her hand. "What do we know about enemy capabilities?" Dr. Helen Carter, a scientist who had been studying the alien technology from Captain Hughes' encounter, stepped forward. "They're advanced but fragile. Their ships are built for comfort, not combat. Their weapons are precise but don't seem designed for rapid fire. Most importantly, their soldiers move slowly in Earth's gravity and tire quickly in our atmosphere." "What about their biology?" asked Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez, a demolitions expert. "That's the interesting part," Dr. Carter continued. "From the scans Captain Hughes took, they seem to be evolved from herbivores, plant eaters. They've never had to hunt or fight for survival. That means they probably don't understand predator thinking." Marcus smiled. That was the best news he had heard all week. "We're going to Ceres first. It's the closest target, and we need to test our theories. If we're right about these aliens, this is going to be easier than they expect." The team spent 2 days planning and preparing. They studied alien ship layouts from Hughes' intelligence. They practiced fighting in low gravity. Most importantly, they planned to use tactics no civilized species would expect. They launched in a modified stealth ship that barely showed up on any sensors. As they approached Ceres, they could see the alien vessel attached to the mining station like a parasite. It was big and beautiful, all white curves and glowing lights. It looked more like a piece of art than a warship. "No patrol ships," observed Lieutenant Rodriguez. "No defensive positions around the station. They're just sitting there. They don't expect anyone to attack them," Marcus replied. "In their experience, conquered species surrender and stay conquered." The team suited up in black tactical gear designed for zero-gravity combat. They carried weapons that were simple and reliable, not fancy like alien technology. Human guns were built to work in dirt, cold, heat, and vacuum. They were tools made by people who knew that equipment failures got you killed. Marcus led the first team through an airlock on the dark side of the station. Aliens had not even bothered to guard it. They moved through the maintenance tunnels like ghosts, using routes that were too small and cramped for the tall aliens to follow. The first alien guard they found was sitting in a chair, looking bored. Was 7 feet tall, with pale skin and large eyes, just like Captain Hughes had described. He wore light armor that looked more like a fancy uniform than protection. When Marcus appeared behind him and applied a sleeper hold, the alien went down without making a sound. "Too easy," whispered Sergeant Chang through the radio. They moved deeper into the station, picking off guards one at a time. The aliens never saw them coming. They were not trained to watch for threats. They did not understand stealth. They moved through their captured territory like they were touring a museum, not controlling enemy ground. The human prisoners were being held in the UA station's main dining hall, which had been converted into a comfortable cell. 43 people sat around tables, talking quietly. They looked healthy but frustrated. Jake Morrison saw Marcus first. His eyes went wide. "Military. Colonel Marcus Stone, Earth Special Forces. We're here to take you home." "What about the aliens?" asked Amy Sullivan, the medic. "What aliens?" Marcus replied with a grin. It took his team exactly 17 minutes to secure the entire station. They captured 12 aliens and eliminated the rest without firing a single shot. The enemy had been so unprepared for real combat that they had not even managed to send a distress call. But Marcus was not done. He had learned something important about alien psychology from studying their behavior. They thought like civilians, not soldiers. That gave him an idea for sending a message that would shake their confidence. He gathered the captured aliens in the station's control room. Their leader was a commander named Yethkul, who kept staring at the human soldiers like he could not believe what he was seeing. "How did you move so quietly?" Yethkul asked. Our sensors detected no approach. We didn't use ships, Marcus explained. We used stealth suits and came through the maintenance areas. This place is too small for your people to patrol. Not civilized warfare, the alien protested. Honorable species fight in open space with proper formations. Marcus almost laughed. Commander, we're from a planet where everything tries to kill everything else. We learn to hunt in packs, set traps, and attack from shadows. Civilized warfare is a luxury for species that never had to evolve. He turned to his communications. Officer, send a message to their fleet. Tell them we have their people and we're willing to trade. Trade for what? Asked Yethkul. All of our people. All of our territory. And a promise that no alien ship ever comes near human space again. Impossible. The Zephrian Empire does not negotiate with primitives. Marcus smiled and the alien took a step back. Something about that human smile made every instinct in his herbivore brain scream danger. Commander, you're about to learn why apex predators make very bad pets. Admiral Vexstar threw the data pad across his command center. The report from Ceres made no sense. An entire garrison of trained Zephrian soldiers defeated by primitive humans. No casualties on the human side. 12 of his people captured. The mining station taken without the aliens even sending a distress signal. Is impossible, he said to his staff officers. Humans are weak, Deathworld savages. How could they defeat our soldiers? Commander Yethmos looked uncomfortable. Sir, we have communications from the captured Commander Yethkul. He says the humans attacked using methods we don't understand. They moved through areas too small for our people and used weapons designed for close combat. Impossible, Vexstar repeated. No civilized species fights that way. It must be some kind of trick or propaganda. But deep inside, Vexstar felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The humans had not just won a battle. They had won it so easily that his people never even knew they were under attack. That was not how warfare worked in the galaxy. Wars were fought with honor in open space, with proper formations and advance warnings. Prepare the third battle. Fleet Vexter ordered. I want every ship we can spare. We will crush these humans and show the galaxy what happens when primitives challenge the Empire. Sir, perhaps we should study their tactics first, suggested Yethmos carefully. Their tactics are irrelevant, Vexstar snapped. Superior technology always defeats primitive cunning. We will bomb their planet from orbit until they surrender. What Admiral Vexstar did not know was that humanity had been listening to his communications. Dr. Helen Carter and her team had cracked Zephrian encryption codes in 3 days. Human computer scientists, raised on a world where survival meant learning fast, had broken alien security that had protected the Empire for centuries. General Patricia Wells stood in the command center at Peterson Space Force Base. Watching the alien fleet approach Earth, 67 ships, more firepower than humanity had ever faced. But she was not afraid. The Ceres operation had proven something important about their enemy. They think like bureaucrats, not warriors, she told President Mitchell over the secure line. They're bringing their entire fleet to make a show of force. They want to intimidate us into surrender. Can we stop them? The president asked. We're about to find out. Colonel Stone's intelligence gave us everything we need to know about their ship designs. Dr. Carter's team has been very busy. Captain Jennifer Walsh commanded the Human Defense Fleet. 12 ships, each one smaller than the smallest alien vessel. But these were not exploration ships, converted for war. These were purpose-built warships, designed by people who understood that space combat was about speed, toughness, and the ability to take damage and keep fighting. The Zephrian fleet entered Earth's solar system like a parade. Ships in perfect formation, broadcasting demands for surrender on all frequencies. They moved slowly and carefully, making sure every human could see their overwhelming power. Human vessels, this is Admiral Vexstar of the Zephrian Empire. You have 30 minutes to surrender, unconditionally. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your planet. Captain Walsh looked at her crew. They were scared but determined. Earth pilots trained to fly in conditions that would kill most species. They had grown up in the gravity well of a heavy planet, learned to handle machines that could crush them in seconds. practiced combat in environments where mistakes meant death. All ships. This is Walsh. Remember what we learned from series? These aliens are not used to real fighting. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and don't give them time to think. The human ships accelerated at speeds that would have killed most alien crews. They used Earth's gravity well to slingshot toward the enemy fleet, building velocity that turned their small ships into guided missiles. The Zephrians had never seen anything like it. Sir, the human ships are moving at impossible speeds, reported a Zephrian sensor officer. Their acceleration should have killed their crews. Admiral Vextar watched in growing alarm as the tiny human ships dove toward his fleet. They were not following proper battle doctrine. They were not maintaining formation. They were attacking like a pack of wild animals. The first human ship, commanded by Lieutenant Commander Daniel Brooks, punched through the alien formation and launched a full spread of missiles at point-blank range. Zephrian flagship's shields held, but barely. More importantly, the alien crew was thrown around by the impact like toys in a box. Return fire, Vextar ordered, but his gunners were having trouble tracking targets that moved so fast and changed directions so quickly. Captain. Walsh led the second wave of attacks. Her ship, the UES Ranger, was built like a brick and armed like a battleship. She flew straight at the largest alien vessel, ignoring the energy beams that splashed harmlessly off her heavy armor. At the last second, she fired every weapon she had into the alien ship's engine section. The Zephrian cruiser exploded in a ball of white fire. Impossible, breathed Admiral Vextar. His people had been building starships for 50,000 years. Human technology was supposed to be primitive and crude. But those crude human weapons had just destroyed one of his best ships. The battle turned into a nightmare for the aliens. Human ships moved through their formation like sharks through a school of fish. They ignored minor damage that would have forced alien ships to retreat. They rammed enemy vessels when their weapons ran out of ammunition. Most terrifying of all, they seemed to enjoy the fight. Lieutenant Rodriguez, flying a small fighter, actually laughed over the radio as he dodged between two alien dreadnoughts, using their own weapons fire to damage each other. Come on, is this the best you've got? Dr. Nancy Kim watched the battle from her laboratory and finally understood something important about alien technology. It was not actually more advanced than human engineering. It was just different. The aliens built for efficiency and beauty, while humans built for reliability and toughness. Their ships are like expensive art pieces, she told her assistant. Pretty to look at, but not designed for real stress. Our ships are like hammers, simple, crude, and very good at breaking things. The battle lasted for hours. When it ended, 32 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest were running for the edge of the solar system as fast as their damaged engines could carry them. The human fleet had lost 3 ships and taken heavy damage. But they had one. Admiral Vextar sat in his damaged command center, staring at the tactical display. His mighty fleet had been broken by a handful of primitive ships. Worse, he was starting to understand why. The humans fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to prove. They took risks that would horrify any civilized captain. They used tactics that violated every rule of proper warfare. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to get better at fighting the longer the battle lasted. Like they were learning and adapting in real time. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, reported his communications officer. Put it on screen. President Mitchell appeared on the display, sitting behind her desk in the Oval Office. She looked calm and confident, like someone who had just won a poker game instead of a space battle. Admiral Vextar, this is Sarah Mitchell, President of Earth. I have a simple message for you and your empire. Leave our space and never come back. If you return, we will hunt down every one of your ships and destroy them. This is your only warning. Vextar felt his hands shake with rage and fear. You cannot threaten the Zephrian Empire. We control 12 star systems. President Mitchell smiled, and something about that human expression made Vextar want to hide. Admiral, we just proved that technology doesn't win wars. Will does. Training does. The ability to adapt and overcome does. Your people have forgotten how to fight. We never learned how to do anything else. The transmission ended, leaving Vextar alone with his thoughts and his defeat. For the first time in the Empire's history, they had been beaten by a species they'd considered inferior. The news would spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Other conquered races would hear that the mighty Zephrians had been humbled by primitive humans. That thought scared him more than any weapon. Captain Steve Mitchell looked through the viewing port of his boarding shuttle at the massive Zephrian flagship. The alien ship was twice the size of anything humanity had ever built, but it was running away like a wounded animal. The great Admiral Vexstar, ruler of 12 star systems, was trying to escape after his fleet had been crushed by primitive humans. "Sir, their shields are down, and they're not responding to surrender demands," reported Sergeant Kate Wilson from the pilot's seat. "Then we go in and get them," Steve replied. His boarding team was made up of Marines who had volunteered for the most dangerous job in space, capturing an alien commander alive. While his ship was still armed and desperate, they cut through the hull with plasma torches and fought their way to the command center. The alien crew put up no real resistance. They were not trained for boarding actions or close combat. Most of them ran when they saw human soldiers in full battle armor moving through their beautiful ship like armored ghosts. Admiral Vexstar was found sitting in his command chair, staring at the tactical display that showed his scattered and broken fleet. He looked up when Steve entered the room, and his large black eyes showed something Steve had never seen in an alien before: fear mixed with confused respect. "I am Admiral Vexstar," the alien said, with as much dignity as he could manage. "I demand to be treated according to the laws of civilized warfare." Steve removed his helmet and looked at the tall, pale creature who had tried to conquer humanity. "I'm Captain Steve Mitchell, Earth Marine Corps. You're under arrest for attacking human territory and kidnapping human citizens." Arrest? Vexstar seemed confused by the word. "I am a military commander. In galactic warfare, defeated officers are either executed or exchanged for prisoners. We do things differently," Steve said. "You're going to be our guest for a while. We want to show you some things about human civilization." 3 weeks later, Admiral Vexstar sat in a secure but comfortable room at Peterson Space Force Base, watching human soldiers train outside his window. What he saw challenged everything he thought he knew about intelligent life in the universe. The humans were exercising in conditions that would kill most galactic species. They ran long distances carrying heavy packs. They fought each other in practice combat that would be considered torture by Zephrian standards. They trained with weapons in environments that ranged from freezing cold to burning heat. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to enjoy it. Dr. Rachel Thompson entered the room carrying a data pad and a cup of coffee. She was a xenobiologist who had been assigned to study Vexstar while he studied humanity. It was an exchange that was teaching both species uncomfortable truths. "Good morning, Admiral," she said cheerfully. "How are you feeling today?" Confused, Vexstar admitted. "Your soldiers train harder than my people fight in actual combat. Why do they punish themselves this way?" Rachel sat down across from him. "They're not punishing themselves. They're preparing. On Earth, if you're not strong enough, fast enough, and tough enough, you die. Our whole planet is a training ground for survival." She activated her data pad and showed him images of Earth. Hurricanes that could level cities, earthquakes that split mountains, volcanoes that turned day into night, animals that could kill humans with teeth, claws, poison, or simple brute force. "This is where we come from," Rachel explained. "For millions of years, humans had to compete with creatures bigger, stronger, and more dangerous than we were. We survived by being smarter, more adaptable, and more determined than anything else on our planet." Vexstar studied the images. His homeworld was a gentle place, with light gravity, soft weather, and no natural predators. The worst danger his ancestors had faced was running out of plant food during dry seasons. "But you became civilized," he protested. "You developed technology and culture. Why do you still train for war? 'Cause civilization doesn't change what—" "We are inside," Rachel said. "We're persistence hunters, Admiral. When we decide to hunt something, we don't stop until we catch it. When something threatens our pack, we fight until we win or die trying." That afternoon, Vexstar was taken to observe a human military exercise. He watched in growing horror as soldiers practiced fighting in zero gravity, underwater, in toxic environments, and in simulated alien ship designs. They moved with deadly efficiency through scenarios that would have been impossible for his people to survive. But the real shock came when he was introduced to the human children. Colonel Marcus. Stone brought his 8-year-old daughter Katie to the base for a family day. Vexstar expected to see a small, helpless creature that needed constant protection. Instead, he watched Katie compete in games that involved running, jumping, climbing, and mock combat with other children. "She's learning to fight," Vexter said. With amazement, "She's learning to live," Marcus corrected. "Human children play by testing themselves against challenges. We teach them to be tough, competitive, and never give up. By the time they're adults, they can handle things that would break most species." Katie noticed the tall alien watching her and walked over with the fearless curiosity that only human children possessed. "Are you the alien commander?" she asked. Politely, "Yes, child. I am Admiral Vexstar." "Did you really try to conquer Earth?" Vexstar felt embarrassed. "Yes, it was a mistake." Katie nodded seriously. "My dad says your people didn't know humans are apex predators. That means we're the ones who hunt everything else instead of being hunted." "Your father is correct. It's okay," Katie said with a bright smile. "Now you know. Maybe your people can be our friends instead of trying to eat us." After she ran back to her games, Vexstar turned to Marcus. "Your offspring shows no fear of me. Why should she? You're not dangerous to her?" Katie has been taught to recognize real threats. A defeated enemy asking for mercy isn't one of them. That evening, Dr. Thompson brought news that changed everything. The Galactic Council has agreed to meet with human representatives. They want to negotiate a peace treaty and discuss Earth's membership in galactic civilization. Vexstar felt relief and terror in equal measure. Relief because the war would end. Terror because it meant the galaxy was about to discover what humanity really was. 2 months later, Ambassador Karen Phillips stood before the Galactic Council on the neutral world of Nexus Prime. The council chamber was a vast dome filled with representatives of dozens of species. They all looked elegant, peaceful, and civilized. They also looked nervous. "Honored representatives," Karen began, "Earth accepts your invitation to join galactic civilization. But we want to make some things clear from the beginning." The Altarian delegate, a tall being with blue feathers, spoke first. "We have heard disturbing reports about human military capabilities. Some council members believe your species should be restricted to prevent future conflicts." Karen smiled the same kind of smile that had terrified Admiral Vexstar. "Ambassador, with respect, you're thinking about this backwards. We didn't start this war. We didn't attack anyone. We defended ourselves when we were attacked. That's what any intelligent species would do." "But your methods?" protested the Centauri representative. "The reports describe tactics that are considered barbaric by civilized standards." "Our methods work," Karen replied simply. "We're alive, free, and here talking to you." The Zephrian Empire learned that technology alone doesn't win wars. Well, training and the ability to adapt under pressure win wars. The chamber fell silent. Finally, the council chairman, an ancient being from the first species to achieve spaceflight, spoke. "What does humanity want from the galaxy?" "Trade, knowledge, friendship, and respect," Karen answered. "We're willing to share our technology and learn from yours. We'll help defend weaker species from aggressors. But we won't be conquered, controlled, or told where we can live. And if some species find your presence threatening," Karen's expression grew serious, "then they should remember what happened to the Zephrian Empire. We're not the monsters under the bed. We're the ones who kill the monsters under the bed. But we only fight when we have to." The vote was unanimous. Earth was welcomed into galactic civilization with full sovereign rights. The Council also established new protocols for contact with Deathworld species. Recognizing that planets like Earth might produce beings very different from the gentle herbivores who had previously dominated space. Admiral Vexstar, now serving as a cultural advisor to prevent future misunderstandings, watched the ceremony from the observation deck. Humanity had taught the galaxy a lesson that would be remembered for thousands of years. There were apex predators among the stars, and they were not evil or destructive, or simply what they had always been, the ones who hunted when others could only run, the ones who fought when others could only surrender. The ones who survived when survival seemed impossible. The galaxy was a safer place with them in it, as long as you never forgot what they were capable of when threatened. In the end, the universe had learned to fear something new, not the darkness between stars or the collapse of suns, but the patient, determined, and utterly ruthless protectiveness of creatures who had clawed their way to intelligence on the deadliest world anyone had ever imagined, and humanity was just the first death world species the galaxy had encountered.